Hello everybody, welcome back. It's another week and we've got another LinkedIn Live here coming from Searchy. This week we're going to be talking about the biggest regional technology conference of the year, which is obviously Gitex.
Yeah.
I'm joined by May, who's head of data science here at Searchy. May's basically like mad nerdy and really geeky and very clever. So you were lucky enough, you went down yesterday, right?
Yeah. It was mind-blowing seeing startups and tech companies from all around the world just in one place under one roof, exhibiting their products and services. It was amazing.
Yeah? What really stood out to you? It's the first time you've been, right?
Yeah, it's my first time.
Yeah.
So now you're not impressed anymore by robots talking or walking around you. You're not impressed by the drones that are flying around. It's much more than that. You have simpler products from even weight scales till autonomous cars. All are smart. All companies around the world are just using the data science and the 5G technologies, the AI, just to enhance their products, making our life easier. And yeah.
So was there
solutions.
one thing that you saw that you thought, wow, that was
Yeah.
that was mind blowing?
So the Etisalat booth is amazing.
That's wild, huh?
When I went there, I was like a child in a toy store. Just my mouth is. I'm just like looking at everything, surprised by everything I see. I'm impressed by everything. There was a motorcycle there that you would press. It's a luxurious motorcycle, a very long one, looking very fancy. But it's not about that. You would click a button, and the wheels would literally go up, and it flies. It flies. The motorcycle flies, and it will be in the market within two months. I had the chance to talk to the designers and the architecture of this motorcycle.
They were there as well, right?
Yeah, they were there.
Awesome.
They're a French startup.
Okay.
So they are productizing that in the French market within 2 months, and
that's nuts.
Etisalat was sponsoring that.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's I think some of the I saw the Etisalat stand when I was there, and I did see some people knocking around with this. But it looked like a quad bike, right? Because it's got 4 wheels. It's not just.
Yeah.
It's not like a 2-wheel motorbike. So when you were describing it to me this morning and talking about the motorbike, I was like, I'm not sure that I saw that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you and Fran were talking about it, I suddenly kind of clicked what you were talking about, and it is pretty wild to think that that's like an actual thing that people are really building and productizing now, right?
Yeah. Another robot just doing some movements with his hand, while the robot on the other side was sitting on an actual machine. The guy was pulling. So imagine, how can you multiply the workforce for one person just acting as if he's working on a machine, and thousands of robots just doing the actual job. Not just that, look at the dangerous places or some like the unhumane circumstances that people can work on. Now
areas.
Robots can do that.
It's interesting to see these things that, like a couple of years ago, people were kind of experimenting with these ideas and kind of prototyping them, and now we're getting to a stage where they are actually becoming productized. And you can see like a real world application for a lot of the stuff now, whereas previously it was kind of like you'd have like the Boston Dynamics guys, who are obviously mind-blowingly cool. Like the stuff that's coming out of Boston Dynamics is insane, and the videos that they share every now and then are just every single time mind-blowing. But to see how we've gone from this kind of like science fiction concept through to where we are today, and being able to now visualize some of the stuff that's likely going to come out in the next 5, 10, 20 years is it's an incredible kind of time to be alive, don't you think?
Yeah. And we are near to those technologies that we used to see at movies
Right.
than we were ever before.
Yeah.
And some technologies are even beyond what we used to see as a fiction. So yeah, and also the AR and VR. It large
Like this one
sections.
that we're showing here
Yeah.
on the screen, right? This is a
Yeah.
VR game where it looks like the people are just sort of jumping around a kind of pitch or area, but then in their world they're doing something completely different.
Yeah, and the application is for everything, even tourism. So I had a chance to talk to the CEO of a startup in, I think in France too. They have the touristic the touristic use case where you can just scan the area where you're in, and some entertainment would just appear on your screen, like
Yeah, cool.
musicians appearing at the same place that you are scanning.
That's really
So,
cool.
yeah.
That's like one of the things at the Do stand. One of the things they were trying to showcase was 5G and how that's kind of super fast connectivity can be used in different ways. So they had a band, a 4-piece band, but they split it up so you had two members of the band on like one half of the stand, and then the other 2 members were in like the opposite corner, and they were completely kind of separated from each other. But they were streaming everything, all of the content and all the stuff they were doing over 5G, so there was literally no latency between them. They were completely, like, it felt like they were perfectly synchronized. It was quite impressive to see that kind of demonstration, because it's a little bit more abstract than a lot of the other demonstrations that I saw of 5G. What else really stood out to you? Was there any other kind of technology stuff that you thought, wow, that's worth talking about?
So I was mind blown by the
This car? Check this
oh,
car
this
out, man.
car.
This is
Yeah,
ridiculous. So this is a concept from Renault.
It's like a spacecraft.
It's unbelievable, right? And look at what's inside it. There's
Yeah.
no cockpit to drive.
Yeah, it's an autonomous drive.
Right, completely autonomous.
Car. Yeah.
And this is the motorbike.
Yeah, this is the motorbike. Yeah. This is now coming to Earth.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And it's got like these jet thrusters on the outside that you can see here, right? So that's where it turns down. Nuts. Honestly, what an incredible time to be alive. There's so much stuff that's coming out from a hardware perspective and from a software perspective as well. We're just growing kind of exponentially.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I enjoyed about the conference, I really struggle with Gitex because it's so busy and overwhelming, and there's so much stuff, it's so big.
Oh, this is the machine that was mimicking the guy's movement. Look at that.
Yeah, so we've got this dude that's controlling it over here, right?
Yes.
And then the robot's repeating his actions.
Yes. And even the slight movement of the fingers are being mimicked.
It's crazy. Did you get a chance to speak to these guys?
No, it was really crowded.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a bit of a showstopper, really. Wow. Wow. I mean, this is cool, right? It's cool because it's kind of, you can see where you could use it and how you might how it might move forwards. But I also kind of feel like there's a long way that we could move this forward, right? We could take this so much further by completely automating the whole thing, right? So
I think
when
that's
the robots can make
this is
those
still it
decisions.
is a lot, I think. Yeah. Also, I was pretty impressed by how how companies right now are taking the data into a different level. From the simple products like a smart weight scale,
Right.
like tracking the family members' weights.
So this is like a normal kind of domestic scale that you'd have at home on the floor just to weigh yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
simple product, but how they took it to the next level. It's now you can connect it to your phone. Yeah, it can track the different members in the family, their weights, the gain losses, the gain weight, the weight gains, and recommending meals according to the age and the weight. So yeah, so look, take this simple product and just take
Add
it
data.
to the it's just the data and a service like customer service, like phone customer service. I didn't know, I didn't imagine how much data can come from that till I had the chance to have this discussion with the lady yesterday. It's another startup. They would take like do analyses on for a product customer support, analyses on the nationalities that uses the product, the different problems that a person can have. Everything is analyzed into data, visualized, so that they can go back to the product owner and show it off, so that they can enhance their products and services. So
what did you think about, so for those who don't know or didn't get the chance to go to Gitex, for starters, it's huge. It's like the whole of Dubai World Trade Center is basically taken up with this exhibition, and there are different sections to it, but there's one which is really keen, or like an important part for me that I really enjoy and really resonates with me, which is it's called Gitex Future Stars, which is where they kind of separate the kind of startups into their own kind of area and category. And obviously a lot of the people in that area are very entrepreneurial, and I find that
what I like there is the type of conversations that you can get there. So you would go and explore what people are doing, but it's not just that. They can provide like a better service and merge the services and products together. Impressive.
Because that, for me, if we go into the collaboration piece, so for anyone that's new to the stream as well, like the whole kind of thing agenda that we try to push with the stream is open to change and exploring new concepts and new ideas, right? And one of the things that the kind of undercurrents that I experienced when I was at Gitex this year was very these big kind of telcos and other large players like Microsoft, SAP as well. And the amount of time and space and even functure of use cases like AI use cases, blockchain use cases that they've been exploring and working with startups on.
Use cases.
Felt a lot more present this year than I've ever experienced it before. This kind of attitude towards partnership, which is much more open-minded, whereas historically, I think, particularly in the region from my experience, there's been very much a case of we will build it ourselves. We will do it ourselves. We don't need to pay for any services. We can build it all ourselves. And I did not get that feeling here at Gitex this year. I got the opposite feeling, which was much more a partnership-led thing, a collaborate ourselves through to let's work together to try and develop something which is genuinely bleeding edge, and genuinely solving a problem that we're all facing. Understand that they were also in this space where they've been bringing over startups that they've been collaborating
from
with,
all
right?
over the world.
From all over the world, yeah.
Yeah, but the MENA region was not present.
Did you feel like MENA was underrepresented in those partnerships?
Yeah, in the partnership, yes, it was there on the startups area, but not with the collaboration with the corporates.
Yeah, I kind of got that. I kind of got that flavor as well, I have to say.
Yeah.
I think I felt like, and I think I felt like this for a while. There's, on the whole, and this is a general kind of view that I've had for a while. It certainly doesn't reflect everybody, but on the whole, there does seem to be a lean towards let's kind of become a magnet for bringing in external talent and stuff from outside of the region and give it a launch pad here in the UAE or in the MENA region, so as that it can come from being in France, for example, to being here and then to the whole of the Middle East.
Korea
Was well represented, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, I do wonder, because I kind of got that vibe as well, to be honest. Like I enjoyed seeing so many startups being kind of collaborating with larger telcos or larger companies in general. And certainly I felt like with the Microsoft and SAP guys, there was good representation from the region. I felt like they had really good representation from the region. But I think some of the companies that have much more influence on the day-to-day kind of goings on of things in the UAE, in Saudi, in the general region, I felt like there was a bit of a lean towards, let's get cool stuff from Europe and America and Korea, and bring it over here and give it a springboard so as they can launch into the region, instead of necessarily cultivating some of the startups that currently exist here. And it feels like a little bit of a lost opportunity. And I personally feel like there's an event like Gitex, which is the largest technology event in the region. It feels like a bit of a shame to waste that opportunity for exposure, or to give that opportunity for exposure to foreign-based companies that are not necessarily going to put the same kind of energy or kind of contribution into the economy as some. And I know that, you know, Mohammed Alabar's spoken about it. The chairman of Emar and Noon has spoken about anything that the guys got to say. But I think on that particular area, I think there's some validity to it. And one of the reasons that I'll give you for that is we've spoken with we've been lucky enough that we have a really, really great network, mainly due to Saika, because and she has a great network here, she has a great network in Saudi, and a great network in the US, and a great network in the UK, and America, Silicon Valley specifically. More recently, the answer, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this. I kind of hope that Saika is not watching. But more recently, the feedback that we're getting from VCs in the US is a very, very hard line. We will not invest in Middle East-based companies.
Wow.
Right. So if they're gonna take that attitude and that kind of protectionist, like we're gonna keep all of our investment here, which has always been a thing in Silicon Valley, but feels like it's getting worse. If they're gonna take that attitude, and then the local entities or the regional entities in MENA are also gonna take the attitude of we're gonna magnetize the US companies, then where does that leave the startup ecosystem here? How are we gonna create new companies? And create these real wealth generators and opportunity generators in the region if we're not supporting them, and other areas aren't supporting them, or other geographies aren't supporting them? Where's their opportunity come from?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and that's my 2 cents on it. I don't know if anyone else has any opinions on that. Obviously, like, this is the stream, right? So we're trying to encourage everybody to contribute. If you've got an opinion, please feel free to share it. If you've got some experience as well, please feel free to share it. We always kind of encourage that, because this isn't, the idea of this community isn't that it doesn't belong to us, it belongs to everybody, and we work together to spread new ideas and try and create this collaborative mindset, which wants to grow. I can feel it here, I can see it a lot here. And we want to give it a platform to be able to grow, and LinkedIn were generous enough to give us access to LinkedIn Live, so we're taking that opportunity to try and help or provide an outlet for the change-ready people and the collaborative people in the region. So if you've got any ideas, share them.
Do you have any idea how we can change this mindset? How we can...
It's a great question. I think it's happening. I think that if you look at some of the, so financial services and financial institutions historically have been, what's the right word for it? Risk averse, right? So they're very kind of like, we're just going to be very safe. And we have some very good relationships with some very good banks in terms of partnering with us and collaborating with us and doing like these projects together, which historically I don't think we would have got. So I think that there is already some change in the mindset which is occurring, and I think that it does, from a certain extent, have to come from kind of the top down. It's very difficult to affect a change like that from the bottom up, because when you're kind of only a handful of people trying to change people across a very large number of people, it becomes incredibly difficult without having that kind of leadership, let's make a difference approach. If it was, I don't know, man. I mean, if it was down to me, I would say like there needs to be more. I'd like to see more support for startups in terms of there are two things that are real barriers for startups here, or three things. One is access to capital, two is access to talent, three is access to deal flow. And if we can ease the pain of those, of at least one or two of those three things, then I think we're going to find a lot more diversity in mindset, which is really what we're after, right? We don't want everyone to be having this kind of collaboration mindset or this change readiness mindset or this humility.
With what it's doing with the startups, the resources that they are providing startups, from servers, machines, and right?
Yeah. I mean, look, so Microsoft are doing nicely. IBM also has some cool stuff as well, some cool kind of packages for startups to help them get going, where they'll incentivize them to come onto their services. SAP have got some stuff that they're doing. Like SAP have been really generous with us since we engaged with them as well. They're giving us plenty of time, and they're very keen for us to drive a conversation forward, which is fantastic. I also think that there's the mindset thing is a gradual thing. You don't, like, big change like that doesn't happen overnight. And the more success stories that we have, like, the better. I think I saw an article on Magnet earlier today, and I think it said that we've had as many exits in the first 3 quarters of this year as we did in the whole of 2017, which is a great sign. Like, news like that is important. However, the number of exits was, I think it was 20, which is obviously far too low for people to get very excited about, for foreign investors particularly to get very excited about. But then when you have those success stories, when you have like the Kareem story, and then the wealth that story has brought in to a group of people who have a different mindset, who come from a different background and behave in a very different way, and will deploy that capital in a very different way. I think that then becomes a big catalyst for change as well. So when you have that kind of middle layer there, and then you've got that kind of leadership layer which is pushing this agenda down as well, I think that bodes very well for helping to make those changes. But it's not easy, and it does take quite a long time, especially in a region which is entrenched in buying real estate. You know, it's a very different transaction. When you're buying real estate, you send some money and you get a unit, like you get this office, and that's it. You own that whole space. But then when you're investing into a company, a technology company especially, you're investing like when it's loss leading, like making a loss. Normally that's what's happening. Otherwise, if you're profitable, unless you've got like a scaling thing, then you want to hire more people and you want to stop making profit. You want to make like a loss. And then you're also only getting you're only taking a small percentage of the business, right? You're buying some shares or some stock in that company, and that's an attitude which is very different, or a transaction which is very different to what historically has been the dominant transaction style here. We had Faraz on the stream last week, and you know, he was talking a lot about the real estate category here. And for me, the difference between the real estate category and the startup ecosystem is so significant that making that transition can be very overwhelming, I think, for investors. Plus the mechanisms are very challenging here as well. Like if you suddenly receive $4, $5, $6 million in your business bank account, it gets shut down because they think that it's some sort of thing that it's not meant to be, which is a weird problem to have as well, because the mechanisms aren't really set up for this. But we're moving in the right direction, I think. Anyway, back to Gitex. I digressed. Sorry if I bored anybody with that kind of diatribe. Okay, so we talked about the collaboration. We talked about the cool stuff, like the cutting edge technology that was there. We talked about the corporates supporting those startups. I think that one of the highlights for me was meeting this guy called Tyler Schultz. So Tyler Schultz was, he was like a 20-something-year-old kid. This is a lot more than that. But he was a 20-something-year-old kid, graduated from a good school, comes from a great family.
I think Stanford.
It was either Stanford or it was one of those, MIT maybe. I forget which. But he joined a company as an intern straight out of college that his grandfather was a member of the board for, and his company was a rocket ship, man. It was growing and growing and growing. It was incredibly popular. I think in total they raised $900 million on a huge, like tens of billions of dollars valuation. And Tyler worked out that it was all a lie, that the technology didn't work, that the revenue figures that they were giving to investors and board members were also inaccurate or falsified. And then he came out to the press. He didn't necessarily go to the press. The press came to him and asked him, and then he got really deeply involved in opening up the story. So the company that he worked for was this medical technology company called Theranos. There's a huge scandal when it broke, right? There were two big scandals of the kind of startup world at the moment. There's Theranos, which is the one that we're talking about now, and in relation to Tyler and this lady who founded it, Elizabeth. And then there's WeWork, which has just come out, and for a whole different catalogue of reasons is a bit of a challenge. And then you had the Uber stuff as well. So actually there are several problems, several problem stories. So anyway, Tyler magazine or Wired magazine or something, and afterwards I got to spend some time with him and kind of have a conversation with him about some of the lessons that he felt other startups can take away from the Theranos scandal, right? Yeah. So he talks a lot. So for anyone that's interested, and I'm going to do a horrible job of butchering this story because it's such a detailed story. There's so much information out there about it. Like after the thing kind of fell into the water, everyone started coming out of the woodwork and explaining like what they'd experienced. So the company's called Theranos. There's a book called Bad Blood. There are hundreds of stories in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and all of these other publications. And then there's an HBO series. I don't know what the HBO series is called, like Entrepreneur or something like that, I guess, which kind of dramatizes the whole story. But in essence, it's basically the way to something like that different. It became very popular, whatever gene, and then the science departments couldn't speak to off and very weird. And it turned out that the whole thing was a lie. The kit didn't work. They couldn't even get one test right, let alone 150 tests right. But it's not my job. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. But for me, what's interesting is the learnings and how we can apply them. And I was lucky enough to spend some time with Tyler talking about that, about how do we ensure that we don't have something like that happen in the work that we're doing. What processes can we put in place to secure ourselves ethically to ensure that there are no kind of ethical situations which we didn't account for or didn't think about at the time. And aside from just the lessons that I learned from having the conversations with him on Sunday, I think it was. The other thing that I found really interesting was that the event organizers had invited someone who had a negative experience in startup, even if it was in America, to come and speak at a conference in Dubai, where often it's kind of frowned upon to talk about those sorts of things.
So it's not all roses and rainbows. Yeah.
Exactly, right? It was really nice to, and I don't know if they knew that that's how it was going to come across, but I hope it was planned. I hope that it was intentional. I hope they invited the guy because he has a.
I think yes, because from the topics of the keynotes, I think he had 2 keynotes at the Gitex on 2 different days.
Yeah.
So the topic of his talks reflects that they knew about the scandal and they are
and they wanted to share the lesson.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. I think bringing those kinds of lessons here and giving them a platform for other people to hear about them and to learn from them is really critical to ensure that we grow in the region from like a startup ecosystem perspective.
Yeah.
So I thought that was incredibly interesting, and I know they had Ben Goertzel as well, who's the founder of Singularity U, I think it is. He's the guy who invented, what was her name? The robot? It's not Lucia, is it? Sophie. Sophie the robot, you know, the one that has the Saudi citizenship. There was a team of 3 of them that built it. There's Dr. Hansen, who did the kind of face and stuff, and then you had Ben, who did a lot of the software and robotics, and then another guy called Gino as well. So it's interesting to have, like, you got Tyler and then Ben and a bunch of other people who they're bringing over as well, who have got some like world-class credentials and can really talk from a position of experience and authority on their subject matter. And then Chris Bennett as well, who's the blockchain beard guy. For anyone who doesn't know about him, you should check him out. He's a really good educator. I rate him very highly, and not just because he shares my surname, or he also has like a big beard as well. So for neither of those reasons, but he is a really good educator and very passionate about blockchain. So he's also been here as well. It's great to see those kinds of personalities here. I think, I don't know. Is there anyone in the audience that was at Gitex that's got anything they'd like to contribute?
Let's talk about our nomination.
You want to talk about the nomination?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got nominated for an award. It was Best Enterprise Artificial Intelligence Solution, I think. There were 3 of us in the category. So we did well, right, to get through to the top 3. I'm very proud of the guys here. You, of course, May, 'cause you're integral to that. Fran less so. So Fran's behind the camera, Fran's behind the camera, he just points and shoots, and everyone else does work. We got through to the top 3, which was great. And in our category there was us. There was a company that detects early detection for Parkinson's disease from Europe. And then there was another company who are, like, they help insurance companies to work out who's going to claim, or rather, no, that's not what they say they do. They actually help customers to work out which insurance companies are best for them based on their behaviors, which could also work the other way around. Depends on how you spin it and market it, right? But so they're an American-based company, and it was interesting to see. Not just in our category, but across all of the categories, I felt like there was an underrepresentation of
the MENA companies,
regional companies. I felt like, and I don't know what that's about. I don't know if that's because there aren't enough of us. I don't know if that's because there aren't many that are exciting. I don't know if it's because they don't know that the Gitex awards are open. I don't know why it happens. But it was a little bit disappointing to see that. I had hoped that we would win. Unfortunately, we didn't. We were runners up, and it was the insurance company who picked up the trophy. So good for them. And next time, Don't you worry. Don't you worry, Gitex, we're coming. We're coming. But yeah, it was great to be nominated. It was great to be part of that whole experience. It was really enjoyable. Nice.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Is there anything else that you noticed from the exhibition that you wanted to point out to people? Was it easy to get in? Was it well organized? Any kind of housekeeping stuff?
Yeah, I think it was well organized. We find it easy to get our tickets, find our way. Yeah, it's very crowded.
So busy and it's huge as well. So easy to get lost, huh?
Yeah.
I got really lost.
Yeah.
Psycho got really lost.
Yeah.
On 2 days.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, I think that's wrap it up.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I kind of guess that all that really remains is to give a little bit of an update about what we've been up to. Aside from the Gitex Award, we actually did win another award, which was the GEC Awards for Best Futuristic AI Company. We have been hard at work integrating a online payment gateway into our kind of whole process. Which has meant that we've pivoted a lot in terms of how we are providing services. So historically, kind of up until about 4 or 5 months ago, we were offering a SaaS model where you'd subscribe for the year. Now we're offering interviews at $10 an interview, and you can pay on your credit card online, which makes it kind of very transactional, easy for you to get in, easy for you to get out, and very little commitment, in fact no commitment at all. We've been doing this really cool cultural stuff as well. So a couple of partners that we work with came to us and they were like, listen, we love working with you on the recruitment, but we have some genuine problems that we're facing with the kind of culture of the company as it exists today. So can you help us, they asked us, can you help us to kind of identify what we're doing culturally in the organization at the moment, inside of the teams at the moment, and then work out ways that we could maybe make that a little bit more in line with what we're trying to deliver. So we built these kiosks with a partner of ours, and they basically kind of allow people to do these live interviews with the AI, and then we work out how the different teams work together, which has been really interesting because it gives some really valuable feedback in terms of how to structure your team based on the kind of things that you want to deliver. So if anyone's interested in this kind of cultural stuff a little bit more, that would be something worth reaching out about, because there's a lot of stuff that you can get from it, a lot of information, a lot of value you can get from it in terms of how you structure your teams. We created a newsletter, so if you're interested in kind of getting more heavily involved in the community and understanding a little bit more about the work that we're doing and how we're trying to encourage more knowledge transfer and knowledge share in the region, please sign up. It really helps us to syndicate the message and make sure that everyone's kept up to date with the stuff that we're doing. What else have we got going on at the moment? What are we doing next week? We got our sprint planning on Thursday and our retrospective. I really enjoy the retrospectives now that you're in charge. It's so bad. So we got our retrospective on Thursday, our sprint planning on Thursday as well. What have we got for next year? We're building a new video recorder, which we're building in-house. If there are any kind of WebRTC people out there that are interested in having a conversation with us about WebRTC and how you can kind of mitigate some of the risks with using kind of very early stage technology like that, please feel free to get in touch, because it's something that we're working on at the moment. What else have we got going on?
We're up to building new models, new
Okay.
personality trait models.
All right, come on. Should we talk about
Wow.
Shall
So
we
it
talk
needs
about
it needs like just dedicated sessions to.
that? I agree.
So-
I agree.
so
It is.
describe
There
what's
is a lot of
happening.
depth.
Yeah. So.
Okay, fine. We'll do another one. We'll do another
Yeah.
session with you where we get into some of the detail around that. But yeah, there are some really interesting experiments which May is running at the moment on the personality models. What else have we done? We've built this kind of self-organizing map model for extracting and categorizing an ontology for understanding CVs and content inside of a CV, which is really interesting, and now working on a partnership with a much larger company for CV parsing that will help us with that too.
Matching job descriptions.
Job descriptions to CVs.
But on papers,
yeah,
job
yeah,
descriptions on CVs.
That's right, that's right. We've got some new design stuff which is coming out as well. We've got a new video if Fran can pick up the pace. New video which hopefully is going to be a cool little marketing thing, which we've been working on between myself, Fran and Alex. What else have we got? There's been a lot of other kind of sales and marketing activity which I don't want to bore everybody with. But I think that kind of brings me to a close. If there's anyone out there that's interested in joining one of these streams and sharing your perspective on different kind of things that you're involved in, or things that you think are important to share, conversations you think are important to share, whether it's around data science or AI or organizational psychology or engineering best practices, whatever it might be, we'd really encourage you to reach out. We want to bring in more guests, we want to do more collaboration, we want to help people to spread a message which they feel is important to them. So please feel free to reach out and we will try and find a time to bring you in. Oh yeah, another thing as well, we started the office upstairs, which is finally coming along. I'm super excited to get the lab up. So we're building out this research lab, which is going to hopefully be really, really valuable for us in terms of performing experiments on people. Non-invasive, nothing, no one's going to get hurt or anything like that. But yeah, we've got some cool experiments lined up for when we get in there, which is hopefully going to be in the next 30 days or so. But yeah, okay, I think that's it. As usual, everyone, the whole idea of the stream is to try and create more collaboration in the ecosystem, try and encourage people to share more, speak more, give their opinions more, so as that as a community and as an ecosystem we can continue to grow and get stronger and stronger. I think the only way for us to accelerate this process is by being completely open with each other, sharing our experiences, sharing our lessons, and listening to each other. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you again next week. Thanks, May, and thanks everybody.
Thank you.